Okay, guys, I wanted to do this video for a little while. And since I'm starting a new channel based solely around philosophy, I thought that this would be the perfect time to cover this topic. And today I'm going to cover my reasons, 7 reasons why dating a single mom can be beneficial. Before we get into this, this is a topic that is not going to win me any fans in the MGTOW community. I realize that, but I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I am neither advocating for or against dating single moms. I'm just saying that uh, there are benefits, there are positives to be had in doing so. It's not for everybody, and there are some drawbacks to it. I have made videos about those drawbacks and will be posting them to this channel. So, if you want to catch those videos, hit the subscribe button and you can watch those videos because there are, it's not easy. There are things that make it very difficult and things to consider before you date a single mom. But if you've been on Tinder or any dating app recently, you'll notice that there is no shortage of single moms looking for love. In fact, um, in the spirit of full disclosure, I am married to somebody, and boy, I can imagine the comments that are going to be in the video about this this little fact, this little tidbit. I am married to somebody who was once a single mom who I met on Tinder. So uh, the comment section is open. Please feel free, feel free to lampoon me because boy, when it comes to MGTOW and red pill, there's somebody who's married to a single mom who they met on Tinder. I can imagine as being the lowest of the low, but it is what it is, guys. So with that all being said, let's take a look at my list of 7 reasons why dating. I don't want to say 7 reasons to date a single mom, but seven silver linings on the cloud of dating a single mom. Why 7 reasons why it's not all that bad. So, in no particular order, uh, the first one is they've been forced to deal with reality before you. And before I go into that, um, these are all going to be fairly red pill reasons. So, ladies, if you've clicked on this video looking for a Disney Channel, um, you know, explanation about how you can go ballroom dancing with them and you can whisk them away on a magic carpet ride, that's not going to be this video. These are going to be very red pill reasons to date a single mom. And they're going to be kind of harsh to probably to a lot of women out there. But I think that, the fellas out there, there's a lot to be gained from this discussion. Okay, so back to the list. They've been forced to deal with reality before you. They've been slapped with the cold, hard hand of reality. They went into a relationship before you. They had their fairy tale dreams crushed, and now they are living in the same reality that you're living in. In today's world, women are raised to have different expectations out of life. Women are raised to see things differently than men are. And when it comes to relationships and dating, women go into relationships and dating expecting different things than men do. Single moms do not. Single moms have had a big dose of the red pill. Maybe they don't even realize it, but they've taken the red pill. They realize that things can go proverbially. That's not the proverbially, proverbially speaking. Why is that word? That word is not rolling off my tongue right now. Um, Things can go tits up, and they've seen it firsthand. And so, unlike a woman who is not a single mom, it will not be your job to red pill her. it will not be your job as much to bring her into the same reality that you're living in. She's already there for the most part, and they are not all there. Don't mistake this for me saying that all single moms have been red pilled or all single moms have had a dose of reality. Some of them are still very much in their blue pill hypergamous world, but a lot of them are not. A lot of them have seen reality. They know exactly how hard it is out there, and so they will be less of a project in that manner. So number two kind of ties into this. Their financial awareness is much more acute. Okay, you date a woman without a kid, and she might make $30,000 a year. Well, guess what? She's doing with that $30,000 a year. Oh, probably about $10,000 is going into Jello shots. $10,000 is going to Uncle Sam, of course, and the remainder of the paycheck is going towards hair, makeup, clothes, and then she probably gets supplemented. She probably maybe dips into her student loans for another 10K to pay for her Beamer that she leased for $500 a month. Or daddy's giving her $20,000 a year to pay for the condo downtown. It's a friggin' nightmare, right? It's a nightmare what these chicks do with their financial lives. If you're lucky enough to find a girl out there who doesn't have any student loans, job aside, the job thing is not really even that important to me, but the student loans or the mountains of debt, stupid past financial decisions that have just completely ruined the next decade to decade and a half of her life, I would lock her down because that's somebody who's on the right path. But single moms, they've been forced to look at finances a lot more pragmatically than their counterparts, their childless counterparts. And I've found in my personal experience that pragmatic lens that they're forced to look at their personal finances through is kind of made them look at money in more of a masculine way, where things need to be accounted for a lot more meticulously when you have a kid. Money going out, money coming in, it all needs to be tracked and it needs to be spent wisely. It needs to be thought about. And your vision of the future needs to be established. And that's all those are all really great things if to find in a woman. Normally you'd have to meet you meet a 20-year-old girl and you are going to have to drum this stuff into her head. Or maybe this stuff isn't even in your head and you guys are going to have to learn and grow together, making mistakes and fixing them as you go along. But with a single mom, that's not necessarily the case, and it's a definite positive. My next reason is they will look to you as a leader. They have a kid, and chances are, if dad isn't in the picture anymore, and even if he is, women do not possess the ability to lay down the law like men do. And when I say that, immediately in my head, I start thinking of black women, right? The stereotypical black mom who fills the role of dad and mom. But even then, even the strong black woman stereotype does not have the ability to lay down the law like dad does. Um, a lot of the times when women lay down the law, they're very emotionally charged about it. To them, laying down the law is clacking at the top of their lungs. That's what laying down the law is to them. And as as they find out, that doesn't work. Kids don't necessarily respond to that. In fact, they find a way to manipulate that very quickly. They find a way to circumvent all that clacking. Um, and when they don't want to do something, they figure out a way to get mom clacking so they don't have to do it. Not the case with dad. Not the case with a man. When a man says do it, you do it. And if you don't do it, the man stands there and says do it until you do it, until you do it. There's no clacking. Excuse me. There's no clacking. There is no emotional outburst. There's just do it. Do it. And for that reason and a few other reasons, they will look to you as a leader. And in today's modern hypergamous world, I hate to beat a dead horse, or I hate to feed a fed horse, according to PETA. I hate to feed a fed horse. Excuse me. 'Tis the season. But in today's hypergamous world, it can be nice to go into a relationship with a woman who is right off the bat looking to you as a leader. I've before I was married, I got married at what, 31 or 32. She's 7 years younger than I am, so she's quite a bit. She's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of an age difference there. But before I got married, I dated a lot. I had my share of female companions, and a common theme with them was that we're equals. We're going into this as a partnership. We're just dating. We're just having fun, and not necessarily looking to you to be led anywhere. None of them really had any kind of vision of the future, period. So they wouldn't even really require a leader. A single mom requires a leader. There is a kid there that she's going to be tied to for at least 18 years. And she has the next 2 decades to worry about and plan for and think about. And a lot of the times, a man can be very helpful when it comes to sitting down and blocking out the next 2 decades and saying, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is where we're going and this is how we're going to get there. Everybody on board? Great. Let's go. Men are great with that. And single moms know it, and they will instinctually come into that relationship looking for a leader, which as a man can be great. And especially as an alpha male, it's exactly what, it's everything that you're looking for in a relationship. To have a naturally submissive woman defer to you as the leader, as the head of the household. Take it for what it's worth. Again, I know MGTOW is going to go crazy in the comment section. Oh, you soy boy, blue pill. I get it. I understand. I'm not saying that you should go out and date a single mom. That would be weird for me to say that. That would be kind of predatory. But what I am saying is that there are silver linings on the cloud. It's not all bad. So my next reason is that they will feel more easy in being a homemaker. They will more naturally fall into the role of housewife. You won't have to force that square peg into that round hole. And if you're more of a traditional conservative, a red pill kind of guy, that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for Becky in the club with the bottle blonde hair and the caked on Kim Kardashian makeup. I don't even know if that's a thing. I think the little sister is the one who makes the makeup, but whatever. The caked on makeup in the red cocktail dress. You're not looking to take her and turn her into a housewife. It's possible, but it's going to take effort. It's going to take energy, time, and money. And to be honest with you, for me, it made a lot more sense to take a woman who was already almost there and just give her the permission to go all the way. That was a lot easier for me than to try and go into a club, find the drunk 20-year-old college chick puking on everybody, fighting, pulling hair, and turn her into a loving mother and an attentive housewife. I mean, come on. So my next reason is they are serious and they know what they're looking for. Now, this might scare some guys off, and I understand why it would. In my early 20s, it would have scared me off for sure. But as I got older and I met my wife when I was 29, 30, as you know, as you get older, it gets harder to remember all these milestones and dates. But I met her in my late 30s or my late 20s, early 30s. And I knew what I was looking for. I think on the first date, I told her I'm looking for a wife. Not I'm looking to get married, not, I'm looking for a long-term relationship. I'm looking for a wife. And I was very upfront about that. And I think also the way that that's worded kind of lets the woman know what you're looking for because I'm looking to get married. That to me is more of a red flag. That to me is like I'm looking for the Disney wedding and I'm looking for my Prince Charming. I'm looking for a wife. Lets her know exactly what role you want her to fill. Uh, but they're serious, right? They have the little one, and let's let me sidebar for a minute. My wife had one prior to me, and I'm not sure if I would necessarily recommend a woman with more than one because it is taxing, and I will go more into that in the video in the video about the more negatives to dating a single mom. But it's it's not easy, and you start adding more to that, and boy, I can just imagine. But back to the positives about dating a single mom. They're serious and they know what they're looking for. Put yourself back in that club with Becky with the caked on makeup and the bottle blonde hair, and she has no idea what she wants. She barely knows why she's in that club. She thinks she's there to dance. She doesn't even, she doesn't realize what she's really there for. Um, she's in school. She's getting her 4-year degree in something completely useless. She's $50,000 in debt. She doesn't know how she's going to pay it off. She hasn't done the appropriate economic research into what that degree will actually yield as far as future earnings potential. And she is a hopeless mess. She's lost. And more than likely, she's waiting for you to come around and help her find herself. If you like projects, if you like fixer uppers, fine. But that's not me. That's I made it very clear to my wife when I met her. I am my own person. I'm not I don't depend on you for validation. I don't depend on you for happiness. My happiness comes from within. What our relationship is a partnership. It's a mutual arrangement between two individuals for beneficial long-term outcomes. Those Becky's in the club with the bottle blonde hair, they're looking for happiness. They're looking for happiness from you. They're looking for you to provide their happiness for them. They're looking for their happiness at the bottom of a bottle, and they're looking for their happiness at the end of a condom. I wouldn't recommend it. What else we have here? Number 6 is you have early exposure to children. I tell you, you have early exposure to children, which for me was beneficial because I had no idea what I was getting into. I had my the most time I had spent around kids before I met my wife was, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds in the grocery store in this cereal aisle. I had no idea about kids. I had no idea about talking to kids, interacting with them. And while it's not necessary to have exposure to children to be a father, because once you have your first kid, boy, all that stuff, it just comes naturally. That once you look at your kid, it's all there. It's all pre-programmed. You know exactly what you're there to do. Um, Boy, I should make a video about being a father because there is just it is one of the most rewarding things that I think a man can ever do with his life It's one of the most beautiful things. But getting off topic, um, it's definitely beneficial to have early exposure to children and kind of understand how, kind of how the household runs, how interactions happen. Um, you get to see your wife or your girlfriend, your future wife, your future baby mama, whatever the case may be. You get to see her interact with her own kid and how she's going to be a mom to your kid, and that can be beneficial because there are some crazy ones out there, and it can definitely be beneficial to have that kind of early vetting process to see how they are with their own kid and to see that they're going to be a fantastic or awful mother to your kid. So that can be pretty solid. And lastly, I have found that they are more open to traditional kind of values and morality. And this kind of ties back to number one, where they have been pre-red pilled before they got to you. Their openness to traditional morality and values comes from having that kid and a new understanding of needing to pass on certain things to the next generation. In order to raise a functioning member of society, uh, she has to adopt certain ideas that previously to her child would have been foreign. And people always talk about how women become more conservative as they get older and as they get married, and the leftists love to pontificate about how this means that their husbands are cramming, conservative values in their heads. And I don't, there's probably an element of truth to that, but that's not the full story. I think it has a lot to do with, when they have their kids, they step back and realize, whoa, I'm not just this free floating, spinning atom in the universe. I'm now tied to the next generation. And it is now my responsibility. It is now incumbent upon me to help the next generation proliferate and succeed. I don't know why that idea comes a little bit more naturally to men, the kind of the values, but I don't know. That maybe that's a topic for another video. Um, but with the traditional values and morality thing, I think it's important when you're talking about dating single mothers. I think it's important that they recognize that they made a mistake. And I know that that sounds harsh, but I really honestly believe that it's important that they understand and acknowledge that they have made a mistake in the past because that was important for me. And I'm not calling my stepdaughter, I'm not calling any women out there, I'm not calling your children mistakes. I'm not calling your children mistakes, but your relationship, your decisions in the past were mistakes. To me, that's an objective fact. I don't think that when you were growing up, or even when you look back on it now, if you had to make the same decisions over again, you would. To get together with a guy who is obviously in your eyes, whether he is or not, in your eyes, a deadbeat, an a-hole, a jerk, whatever. I don't think you would make the same decision to get together with that guy and procreate. That was a mistake. Now, the fruit of that procreation, not a mistake. A beautiful life came out of that. Your child, whom you love very much, and that's perfectly fine. But the act of getting together with that guy was a mistake. And to me, and I think to other guys out there, it should be important that that mistake is acknowledged because without acknowledging that mistake, it's likely it's going to be repeated, right? If she doesn't realize that she made a mistake in doing this, and I point this out because there's a lot of women out there who don't see anything that they've done as a mistake. It's part of the female programming to not own up to your oopsies. So if that mistake isn't acknowledged and owned up to, then it's likely to be repeated. which is why it was important for me that my wife, and this was early on in our relationship, we kind of talked through the mistake of meeting a guy and making kind of rash decisions with long-term consequences, and how the relationship went and how it broke down. And it was important to have her understand, to walk through every step of the way, all the decisions that led her to my door, and find the mistakes in there, understand the mistakes in there, and think about how we aren't going to make those mistakes in the future. Because we have kids together. And before we had kids together, I wanted to make sure that there would never be a day in my life that I did not come home to the same house that my kids are in. I won't have it. And I told her that right off the bat. I won't have it. I will not have that. That is not fair to the kids. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to her. No matter how she feels in the future, it's not fair to anybody. And it will not be tolerated. So I'm off on a tangent, but this was my list of the 7 things that are beneficial, are positive to being with and dating a single mom. Let me know if I missed any, okay? Please leave a comment down below. I'm sure the MGTOW guys, once you guys get a hold of this video, you, you know, I'm sure. Aside from the MGTOW red pill community, let me know if I've missed anything. Are there other positives to dating a single mom? And please, please leave the comments about how there's always fruit snacks in the pantry. Please don't put that down there. I don't want to hear it. That is blue pill BS. That's nonsense. Let me know if I've missed any red pill enlightened ideas about why it's beneficial to date a single mom. But as always, well, not as always, because this is my inaugural video on this channel. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.